What if a small business in Brazil could get funding from investors in Japan, like instantly, and with no bank in the middle? So today, we're going to dig into a new concept called BizFi that's aiming to make that exact thing a reality, completely rethinking how businesses get built and who gets to own them.
And this tagline, wow, it really gets right to the heart of the whole thing. Think about it. For so long, business has been kind of stuck, right? Boxed in by borders and clunky old financial systems. The vision behind BizFi is to just tear down all those walls and create one single global marketplace for ideas and investment.
Okay, so a global funding pool. Sounds amazing, right? But it brings up this huge question, one that people have been trying to solve for years. And here it is, the core challenge. You've got these real-world brick-and-mortar businesses on one side, and then way over here, you've got the world of Web3, this whole decentralized internet with these massive pools of online cash. For a long time, they've been like two different planets. So what BizFi is trying to do is build that bridge to finally connect them. So how do you actually build that bridge? Well, the answer they've come up with is this whole ecosystem called BizFi. And the name kind of gives it away, right? Business finance. It's all about creating brand new financial rails for companies to run on. And what's cool is how you can look at BizFi from two different angles. So if you're a traditional business owner, you're just thinking, hey, this is a new way to get money. But if you're deep in the Web3 space, you see it for what it is. It's using these two really powerful ideas. First, DeFi, decentralized finance, that's all about cutting out the banks. And second, RWA, which stands for real-world assets. It's literally about taking valuable stuff from the real world and bringing it into the digital economy. So at its heart, BizFi is basically a toolkit. It lets a company tokenize its assets, which is just a fancy way of saying you're creating a digital version of something real, like a piece of the company. And this all happens on-chain, which means every transaction is logged on a blockchain. Think of it like a super secure public notebook that everyone can see, which makes everything transparent and super efficient. Okay, so we've got the system, that's BizFi. But where do the businesses and the investors actually, shake hands? Well, that brings us to the next layer, the marketplace, which they call the biz market. This really lays out the two sides of the coin perfectly. For the business owners, the biz market is like a machine that turns their real assets into digital cash. And for investors, it's like a window into a whole new world of real companies you can find and back and hopefully share in their success. Yeah, the best way to think about the biz market is like a stock exchange, but built for today. It gives you all the essential tools you'd expect, a place to actually trade these new digital assets, and of course, all the charts and analytics you need to do your homework and see how they're doing. All right, so we've got this system, BizFi. We've got the marketplace, the biz market. So what are people actually buying and selling in there? Well, that's where biz shares come in. Put simply, biz shares are pretty much digital stock certificates. Each biz share represents a tiny slice of a real-world company that's been tokenized and then listed for sale on the biz market. And this is a really key point. These aren't just like digital collectibles. They're actual working financial tools. I mean, obviously, they hold real value. You can trade them anytime, 24/7. You can even use them as collateral to borrow money. And this is the big one, they can earn you a yield. Like when a company pays out dividends to its shareholders, but it's all done through these tokens. Okay, so we've covered the system, the market, and the asset. Let's zoom out for a second and see how all three of these pieces, BizFi, the biz market, and biz shares, fit together to create this one big flowing ecosystem. And looking at it like this, yeah, it really makes it all click. You can see the flow, right? BizFi, that's the underlying tech and the rules of the game. Then you have the biz market. That's the arena where everyone comes to play. And finally, the biz shares. Those are the actual assets being passed around in that arena. See how each layer just builds on the one before it? It creates this complete financial loop. All right, so we've taken apart all the pieces, but what's the big idea here? What's the end game? What could a system like this actually mean for the future of how we do business and how we invest? And this is really the so what of it all. It's about democratizing opportunity. The huge grand vision here is to create one single global market where a brilliant entrepreneur, say in Kenya, has the exact same access to funding as someone in Silicon Valley. It's about leveling the playing field, not just for the founders, but for everyday people anywhere who want to invest in them. So it all leaves us with this one really powerful question. What actually happens when where you live no longer determines if you can get funding for a great idea? I mean, if this vision actually becomes a reality, it could completely change the game, how innovation gets funded, and who gets to own a piece of that future. It's a massive idea, for sure, and definitely one we're going to be keeping a close eye on.